Good morning, 6th grade. I just wanted to wish you a happy last of March. If you remember, the saying goes, in like a lion, out like a lamb, and March did come in like a lion for sure, with all the storms and everything that we had. It is going out like a lamb, it looks like so far. It's very peaceful and quiet this morning. I have my assistant Lily back here. Hi, Lily. And my assistant Luna over here out of the camera shot, being very helpful this morning. So today we are using multiplication to divide by a fraction. Yesterday I did understanding division with fractions, and I ran out of time to do a video. We were working on the next 2 weeks of our remote learning. And so about 10:30 I did this and just took a picture of it for you. But I'll explain a little bit of it once we get the video turned on this. Also, I wanted to let you know that from this point on, everything will be online if you signed up for online, except for the math packet. I have that still in the paper form until we get finished with it until about the middle of April. So Mrs. Sellers has a Google Classroom on mine, on the same page that mine is on. So if you log in, you will need the code to join her classroom, and that is all on that letter that I sent to everybody's email, student and parents. And it's also on my Facebook page, our classroom page. So you could look at it there also to get that code that you need to log in. Also, Mr. Browning will have his online on his website. So if you go to his website, you can get that there. The paper packets are going to be sent home on Thursday. You'll be able to pick those up at the grade school sometime Thursday. I'm not sure of the hours just yet. I would say between 9 and 5, possibly, maybe a little later, that you would be able to pick those up. We will be working that out and having teachers volunteer to be there to help you pick those up. So, if you have any questions, you can always email me or Mrs. Sellers or Mr. Browning, and we will be more than happy to help you with your work. So let me get this switched around here so we can look at. Okay. So yesterday we did understanding division with fractions, and for this one, it says complete the bar model to show how many 1/5 make 14 tenths. This whole thing is 14 tenths, and we just put, this was 1/5, so we made sure that all of them were the same, and we ended up with 7/5. This one's kind of lopsided, but we ended up with 7/5. So how many 1/5 make 14 tenths? 7 of them. And then we complete the equation. 14 tenths divided by 1/5 equals 7. And then just to check it, 7 times 1/5 equals 14 tenths. Now this was nice and easy and clean. Number 2 was not that way. They'd used a number line to do that, and I showed up here. You can try, but it doesn't work very well on a number line because you don't know how many you need to put in there. They don't show you any of the lines where they go, so you don't know how many 12ths you need to put in there. I mean, I could put 12 12ths, which is what I did here, and then crossed it out. So then I actually did the math. I did 2/3 divided by 1/12, which, as you know, we've done this way. 2/3 times 12 over 1 equals 24 over 3, which is 8. And then I went back and did 8 12ths. So it did not work as well, and it asks you which type of model do you like better, the bar model or the number line? Well, I like the bar better because I had to do the math first to solve the number line. It was frustrating and not easy to do, but the bar is much easier to do. So that's the explanation for yesterday's work. Now, for today's work, using multiplication to divide by a fraction. I would much rather do it this way. You write the missing digits in the boxes to make each equation true. So we have 1/2 divided by 2/3 equals 1/2. And remember we said we're going to keep this one. We change this one. We change the sign, and then we flip this one. Hopefully you guys remember that keep, change, flip. So we keep 1/2, we change the sign to multiply, and then we flip this one. So that's going to be 3/2. And then we just multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4. So our answer is 3/4. Okay? So I'm going to pause here for a second and let you guys press pause on your computer or your video here, and go ahead and try some of the others and see if you can get those. Okay, so now that we're back, we're going to do the same thing on these. Lily, be quiet. It's okay. No. So we have 4/5 divided by 1/4. So we're going to keep the 4/5, change the sign to multiply, and flip the 1/4. So we have 4/1. And now we're going to multiply straight across. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 1 is 5. Now normally we would not leave it like that. We would change it to a mixed fraction. But for this right now, we're going to leave it that way. Okay? All right. So number 3, we have 2/5 divided by 3/4 equals, okay, we keep the 2/5, change the sign to multiply, and flip the 3/4. So we're going to have 4/3. And then we multiply. 2 times 4 is 8, and 5 times 3 is 15. So we leave it there. Number 4, 5/6 divided by 5/12. Keep the 5/6, multiply, and then flip 12/5. And then we're going to multiply straight across. 5 times 12 is 60. And 6 times 5 is 30. Now they're going to simplify. 60 divided by 30 is 2. Number 5. Lily. Let me move this a little bit here. Sorry about that. Okay, number 5. 3/4 divided by 5/7. We're going to keep the 3/4, change the sign to multiply. 5/7 will get flipped to 7/5, and then we're going to multiply straight across. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay. Number 6, we have 1 1/3 divided by 3/7. So first, when we have a mixed fraction, we have to change those to an improper fraction. And if you remember, we did the check mark method, which means we take the whole number times the bottom number plus the top number. So 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So that's going to be 4/3. Okay. Now, that's our first one. We're going to keep it, change the sign, and flip the second one. 3/7 becomes 7/3. And now we can multiply straight across. 4 times 7 is 28. 3 times 3 is 9. All right, number 7. All right, so they have us filling this in. 9/2, we have to look at that and say, what would that be here? Well, if we did the check mark method, 4 times 2 is 8, plus what is 9? 1, right? So that's going to be a 1 there. So we have 4 1/2 is equal to 9/2. And then we're going to keep that, change the sign, and flip the 5, or this 2/5 to 5/2. And then we just multiply. 9 times 5, 45, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Now number 8, 3 1/2 divided by what over 8? Well, we look at what they flipped. They flipped the 8/7, or the 7/8 to be 8/7. So 7's going to go on top. Okay. So now we have 7 what? 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 halves. Because that bottom number stays the same. That just goes right over there, okay? So now we have this flipped as 8 sevenths, and then we just multiply straight across. They're not showing the cross canceling that I had done with you guys. So I'm not going to do that here. It's really tempting for me to do that because I could simplify real easily right now. And that would probably be easier for you guys instead of trying to figure out what 8 times 7 is, in case you didn't know that. But if you know 7 times 7 is 49, you can add 7 more and you get 56. So this would be 56, and 2 times 7 is 14. Luna, you can't get on the computer. My assistant is getting pushy. Yes. Getting very pushy this morning. Okay, so 56 fourteenths. We're going to do 56 divided by 14, and we get 4. Now, if we had done the cross canceling before we started, we would have already had 4. We wouldn't have had to do the 56 fourteenths, but that's all right. So just to show you what I'm talking about, if you'd done 7 halves times 8 over 7 to do the cross canceling, we would have canceled out the 7s because those both would have become 1, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and we just would have had 4 over 1, which is 4, right off the bat. That's much easier, I think, than trying to simplify when you're done. All right, now number 9. 1 2/3, we have to make that into an improper fraction, so 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And then we have to do it again here. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. We already have that flipped, so let's just do this here. 9, and then the 4 goes on bottom, right? So now we're going to go over here, flip it upside down. We have 4 9s. Now we're going to multiply straight across. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 9 is 27. Number 10, 3 3/5. Divided by 1 and 3 what? Okay. I think these make it more confusing when they're putting these boxes in here. I would rather they just do the problem, but that's okay. We'll start over here with the 18. So 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3 is 18. That would be 18 fifths. We already have the 18 on top. They've already... why did they flip that one? Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm losing my mind here, guys. So 18 fifths. They didn't flip it. And then we have 1 and 3 blank. Well, we know if this number is 7 on bottom or 4 on top, then it's going to be 7 on top and then 4 on bottom because they've already flipped it. So we do 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So that would be 7 fourths. And then they flipped it into the 4 sevenths, if that makes sense. So now we can just multiply straight across. 18 times 4. Get my calculator here. 18 times 4 is 72. And 5 times 7 is 35. Okay. Now, it says write a word problem that could be solved by the equation in problem 8. So we would have 3 1/2 divided by 7/8. Let's say we have, okay, so we are making cookies, let's say. We have 3 1/2 cups of, let's see that for me, 3 1/2 cups of batter. We need 7/8 cups for each cookie. how many cookies can we make? Those would be big cookies, but that gives you an idea. You just start with this amount. You're taking out 7/8 at a time, and you want to find out how many 7/8 are in 3.5, and there are 4. Okay? All right, so that is today's work. Tomorrow is the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. I hope you guys can get a trick over on somebody in your house. Remember, we're staying at home and staying safe. We want to not get exposed to the virus and stay at home as much as possible. Okay, so don't be going out and doing tricks on people outside of your house, but maybe a little trick on somebody in your house would be fun. So tomorrow is understanding positive and negative numbers, and we had recently done some work with that, so that shouldn't be too confusing. And you're just going to be going through these 3 problems, I believe. Oh, nope. It also goes on page 19, problems 4 and 5. So there's 5 problems for tomorrow. That's not much homework. Just to let you know, every day we'll be doing one except for days that we are off of school, which next week, Thursday and Friday, are holidays that we were going to be out of school for our Easter break. So those days you will not need to do homework. So we'll skip pages on those 2 days, and I'll let you know on Wednesday next week when we're skipping those. So that will extend the packet out a little bit, and we'll pick back up that following Monday, I believe, after Easter. So I hope everybody has a happy day and enjoy this nice weather, and I will see you guys tomorrow.